The rain had stopped just moments ago, leaving the city streets shimmering under the soft golden light of a late autumn afternoon. The cafe's wide glass windows were misted over, blurring the world outside into a watercolor of amber leaves and passing silhouettes. Inside, the warm scent of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the faint sweetness of cinnamon pastries. At a corner table, an old man in a crisp black tuxedo with a white shirt and bow tie sat stiffly, his hands wrapped around a mug he had barely touched. His name was Albert Hargrove, a name that often appeared in society pages, whispered in grand estates, and respected in household corridors. People called him the Iron Butler, decisive, composed, unshakable. But today he was none of those things. Across from him sat a little girl, perhaps 9 years old, with soft brown hair falling over her shoulders and eyes that seemed older than her years. Her name was Lily. She was silent, not just in that moment, but always. Born with a condition that had taken away her voice, Lily had learned to live in a world where sounds existed for others, but never for her. She could hear faintly, but not enough to understand words clearly. Albert had hired countless therapists, specialists, and tutors over the years, each promising a miracle. None had worked. The girl communicated through shy gestures, the occasional written note, and the quiet poetry of her eyes. Albert had managed vast households, overseen intricate estate affairs, and faced demanding employers without flinching. But when it came to his granddaughter, he often felt powerless. Every day, guilt whispered that he wasn't doing enough. Every night, he replayed the same question in his mind. Was he failing as a grandfather? Today was supposed to be a rare moment of calm between them. It's just a simple afternoon in a cafe, away from household duties and the constant demands of Albert's high-powered life. Yet even here, silence hung between them like glass, fragile, unbroken, and heavy. Albert smiled gently at Lily, trying to coax some warmth into the air. But the little girl's gaze kept drifting to the window. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the magic of human connection, please take a moment to like this video. Subscribe to Kindness Thread and share it with someone who needs a reminder that even the smallest gestures can change a life. Your support helps us share more stories that warm hearts and inspire change. Albert was stirring his coffee absent-mindedly when the cafe door opened, letting in a gust of crisp air. In the scent of wet leaves, a man stepped inside, his presence unassuming yet somehow grounding. He was in his late 30s, wearing a weathered brown jacket over a plain sweater with hair that fell slightly into his eyes. He ordered something at the counter, then scanned the cafe for a seat. When he spotted the empty table near Albert and Lily, he walked over with an easy smile and asked if they minded him sitting nearby. Albert barely nodded, his mind still half occupied by a looming household decision he had to make later that evening. But Lily's eyes, usually cautious around strangers, fixed on the man with quiet curiosity. He sat down, placing a small paper cup on the table, and for a few minutes there was nothing unusual about the scene. He sipped his coffee, glanced out the window, and took out a notebook from his bag. Then it happened. A moment so unexpected that Albert's breath caught in his throat. He noticed the man looking at Lily, his expression warm but not intrusive. Slowly, he raised his hands and began to sign. At first, Albert thought it was a coincidence, perhaps some absent-minded gesture, but then he saw Lily's eyes widen, a flicker of light breaking through her usual guardedness. The man's fingers moved gracefully, spelling out words in American Sign Language. Albert recognized only a little of it. "Hello, nice to meet you." But he saw his granddaughter's face transform. Lily's hands, hesitant at first, began to respond. Albert froze. He had never seen Lily engage with someone outside their small circle of specialists so quickly, so openly. It was as if an invisible wall had cracked, and sunlight was streaming through. The man signing wasn't just functional, it was expressive, gentle, carrying a rhythm that made it feel like conversation in its purest form. Minutes passed, and Albert found himself forgotten in their exchange, watching as Lily signed faster, her movements becoming more confident. She even smiled, not the polite, guarded smile she wore for the world, but a real one, warm and unrestrained. When the man finally looked up at Albert, he gave a small apologetic shrug and signed, "I hope you don't mind." Albert shook his head quickly, words tangled somewhere between gratitude and disbelief. His voice felt tight when he finally managed to ask how he knew sign language. The man's gaze softened. "My son," he said quietly. "He was deaf." We lost him 2 years ago, but I promised myself I'd never stop speaking his language. The weight of his words lingered between them. Albert felt something shift inside him. The walls he had built around himself to survive the relentless demands of his life began to crack. He told him about Lily, about the endless specialists, about his fear that his granddaughter would always live in a bubble he couldn't reach. The man, his name was Robert, listened without judgment, his attention steady and kind. Over the next hour, Robert taught Albert small phrases in sign language, while Lily laughed silently at her grandfather's clumsy attempts. The cafe, with its hum of quiet conversation and the soft clatter of cups, faded into the background. For the first time in years, Albert wasn't thinking about his estate, his next duty, or his next decision. He was simply present with his granddaughter, with a stranger who understood her world in a way he hadn't expected. As they prepared to leave, Lily signed something to Robert that Albert didn't understand. Robert smiled, then translated softly. She said, "Thank you for talking to me," that night. As Albert tucked Lily into bed, he couldn't shake the feeling that their lives had just shifted in some quiet but powerful way. He began learning sign language in earnest, practicing every evening with Lily. And over time, the girl who once kept her words locked inside found herself opening to the world. Weeks later, Albert and Robert crossed paths again, intentionally this time. Coffee became a weekly ritual, then walks in the park, then something deeper. It wasn't about romance at first. It was about understanding, about building a bridge between two worlds of silence and loss, and finding joy on the other side. And maybe Albert thought, one crisp winter morning, as he watched Lily sign a joke to Robert, that was the true miracle he had been searching for all along. Not a cure, not perfection, but connection. If this story touched your heart, please help us continue sharing moments like this. Like the video, subscribe to Kindness Thread, and share it so more people can believe in the power of small acts of kindness. And before you go, we have a special request. Leave a comment telling us about a time when a stranger's kindness changed your life. Your story might inspire someone who needs it today.